Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into glass oil burners.
Ooh, nice.
Whether you're, like getting ready for your first dab or you're already like a total pro at this and want to, just level up, we've got some good stuff for you today.
Awesome.
We've got this article, tons of tips and advice in it,
Okay.
and we also talked to a glass expert,
Oh, cool.
Frank, over at Clover Glass. And let me tell you, getting ready for this, I learned some things. Like, did you know you have to clean a brand new burner before you even use it?
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting. You'd think it'd be like,
Yeah.
sparkling clean right out of the box.
So let's start at the very beginning. I mean, we know the basics, right? You need the burner,
Obvious.
the torch or lighter,
Right.
and your concentrates. But what about the burner itself? What should we be looking for there?
Well, I think the material is probably the most important thing. And Frank, our glass expert, he was really clear about this.
Okay.
Borosilicate glass.
Oh.
It's way more durable than regular glass, so it can handle, like, the quick heating and cooling, without cracking.
That makes sense. You wouldn't want it to, like, shatter in the middle of things.
Right.
So borosilicate glass, got it. What else do we need to think about?
Well, I mean, safety first, always.
Good point.
You really want to have a dedicated space for this and make sure it's like clutter-free. And you need a fire-safe surface underneath your burner, too.
Got it. Safety first. Okay,
Yeah.
so we got our burner. We've got our safe space all set up. So now we clean this brand new, supposedly clean burner.
Yep. A little warm, soapy water should do the trick. Just make sure you get all the soap off when you rinse it. Wouldn't want that to mess with the flavor.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, now this is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
The article mentions something called a test heat.
Uh-huh.
What is that?
It's basically like preheating an oven, but for your dab. You're burning off anything that might be left over from the manufacturing process. Yeah. Just heat it up gently for a few seconds without any concentrate.
Okay, so it's like a clean slate, literally.
Exactly. That way you get a pure, flavorful experience right from the start.
Got it. So we've got our burner all clean and it's prepped. Now, how do we actually use this thing? The article talks about heating it up slowly and using the dab tool to put the concentrate in and then inhaling gently. What are the things we need to know there?
Okay, so the heating part. Patience is key. Don't just blast it with the torch right away. You want to move the flame around in circles, slowly, so the glass heats evenly.
And this is where the dab tool comes in.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And, not all dab tools are created equal. You want one that's heat resistant, easy to handle, and you want to be able to place your concentrate, like, really precisely.
Precision is key. So we've heated up the burner, put our concentrate in with our crusty tool. Now what?
Now the fun part, inhaling. But again, you got to be patient. Gentle inhales are best. Let that vapor cool down a bit before it hits your lungs.
Oh, yeah. I've learned that the hard way. If you're not patient, you end up in a coughing fit.
Totally. It's all about a smooth, flavorful experience. Slow and steady wins the race.
Okay, so let's talk concentrates. The article mentions shatter, wax, live resin, crumble. It's like a whole new language. What are the differences and how do they affect the experience?
Well, each type has a different texture and they vaporize a little differently too. Shatter, for example, is hard, like glass, hence the name. It vaporizes really quickly and cleanly.
Okay, and what about wax? I feel like that's the one I hear about the most.
Wax is a bit softer, kind of like, well, wax. It can be a little sticky, but the flavor is usually really rich.
And live resin. I've always been curious about that one. What makes it so special?
Live resin is cool because it's made from fresh cannabis plants. They freeze them right after harvest to preserve all the terpenes, which are like the compounds that give cannabis its aroma and flavor.
So if you're all about the taste and smell, live resin is the way to go because of those terpenes. That makes sense.
Exactly. It's all about finding what you like best.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm sure there are some common mistakes people make with all this. What are some of the things to watch out for?
Well, we already talked about one, right?
Rushing the heating.
Exactly. But there are a few others. Things that can affect how much you enjoy it and how long your burner lasts.
Okay, let's hear them. I'm all ears.
One common mistake is overheating the glass.
Okay.
This can damage the burner and it makes the vapor taste burnt, which is not what we want.
How can you tell if you're overheating it?
Look at the color of the glass. If it starts turning red or orange, you're going too far.
Yeah,
Stop and let it cool down a bit.
got it. Patience, patience, patience.
Right. Another one is using too much concentrate.
What's wrong with that? More is better, right?
Not always. Overloading the burner can make a mess. It can drip, clog the airflow, and leave behind this, like, grimy residue that's hard to clean.
Yeah. And it affects the flavor.
It can, yeah. So start small and work your way up. See what works best for you.
Good advice. Anything else?
Oh, and this one's important. Don't forget to clean your burner regularly,
I'll admit, cleaning isn't my favorite chore.
but it makes a huge difference. Any leftover residue from your last dab will affect the taste of your next one. Plus, a dirty burner can clog up and overheat, which could actually shorten its lifespan.
So cleaning is about more than just keeping things tidy.
Right, it's about preserving the flavor and making sure your burner works properly.
Okay, so how do we clean it?
Just rinse it with some warm, soapy water after each use.
And what about for a deep clean?
For that, you can soak it in warm, soapy water or use some isopropyl alcohol to really get rid of any stubborn gunk. Then rinse it well and let it air dry completely before you use it again.
So rinse after each use and a deep clean every so often.
Exactly. A little bit of care goes a long way.
All right, so we've covered choosing a burner, cleaning it, using it safely.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but I feel like I've already learned so much.
You've only just scratched the surface.
Thanks.
There's so much more to learn about glass oil burners and cannabis concentrates.
Well, this has been a great start. And on that note, let's dive deeper into the world of glass blowing and cannabis extracts. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about all the practical stuff, like choosing the right burner, cleaning it, keeping things safe. But now I kind of want to get into, like, the heart of it all, the art, the science behind these cool little tools.
Yeah, it's easy to forget about the craftsmanship that goes into making these things. It's not just like some pipe. These are works of art.
Yeah.
Often, like, handmade,
Yeah.
by really skilled glass blowers.
I've always been fascinated by glass blowing. It seems so intricate. Like, how do they even do that?
Right. It's pretty wild. They heat the glass up, like, crazy hot until it's molten, like liquid.
Wow.
And then they shape it using all sorts of tools and techniques.
What are some of the techniques they use?
Well, one of the most, basic ones is called blowing. That's where they use their breath to inflate the molten glass. That's how they make the hollow shapes.
Yeah. And then there's pulling, where they stretch the glass out to make these long, thin strands.
It's amazing
Right.
that they can manipulate, like, liquid glass like that. Are there, like, different styles of glass blowing? I mean, especially when it comes to oil burners?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You got everything from, simple designs that are just about function to, like, these crazy elaborate pieces with all sorts of patterns and colors.
Yeah, I've seen some of those. They're incredible.
Some glass blowers, they specialize in, like, mini rigs.
Okay.
Others are all about recyclers.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then you got some that do, like, custom one-of-a-kind pieces.
Wow. I bet the type of glass they use affects how well the burner works, too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And probably how it looks, too.
Oh, for sure. Like we were saying before, borosilicate glass is the gold standard,
Right. Yeah.
Durable, heat-resistant.
Right.
But they use other types of glass, too, each with its own, like, properties.
Like what?
Well, sometimes they'll use colored glass, which can make these really beautiful pieces. They might, like, swirl different colors together or make patterns inside the glass itself.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
All right.
So it's not just about, like, getting the job done. It can be a real piece of art.
It's about aesthetics, personal
Yes.
expression,
Yeah. Yeah.
creating something that you connect with.
Okay, so we've talked about the glass itself, but what about the design? Are there certain design features that can make a difference in how well the burner works?
Absolutely. One important one is the joint size.
Yeah.
That's the part of the burner where you connect your dab rig or, your water pipe.
Okay, so the joint is like the connector piece.
Yeah, exactly.
And the size matters.
Yeah, because they're standardized,
Yeah.
The most common sizes are 10 millimeter and 14 millimeter.
Okay.
You want to make sure your burner's joint size matches your rig so they fit together properly.
Right. Okay.
Otherwise, it won't work.
Got it. So joint size, definitely something to pay attention to. What other design elements are important?
Well, another big one is the perk.
The perk.
Yeah, it's short for percolator.
Okay.
Perks are these little chambers inside the burner that help to, like, diffuse and cool the vapor before it gets to your lungs.
Oh, so that's all about making the hit smoother, less harsh.
Exactly. And different perk designs do that in different ways so they can affect how smooth and flavorful your dab is.
It's incredible how much thought goes into the design of these things.
Right. It's really a mix of art and science. And there's always, like, new stuff to discover and try out.
Okay, let's switch gears for a minute and talk about the cannabis concentrates themselves. We touched on a few different types before the break, like shatter, wax, and live resin. But I want to, dive deeper into, like, what sets them apart.
Yeah, it's a whole other rabbit hole. But basically, cannabis concentrates are made by extracting the good stuff from the cannabis plant. the cannabinoid and terpenes.
And cannabinoids are what get you high, right?
Right. THC is a cannabinoid.
Yeah.
That's one that gets you high. But there are others too, like CBD, which is known for its therapeutic effects.
Right, and terpenes are what give it the flavor and aroma, right?
Exactly.
So are you saying like different extraction methods can lead to concentrates that have different levels of those compounds?
Exactly. And that's what makes it so interesting. Different methods preserve different compounds, so you end up with this wide range of textures, flavors, and, effects.
Oh, wow.
Pretty cool.
Can you give us some examples of those different extraction methods?
Sure. One of the most common is using solvents like butane or propane. This can make really potent concentrates like, shatter and wax.
Mm-hmm.
But it can also, strip away some of the terpenes, which can make it less flavorful.
Okay, so if you're going for like a really strong hit, butane or propane extraction might be the way to go.
Yeah.
But if you're really into the taste and the smell, what are your options?
Well, that's where something like CO2 extraction comes in. They use pressurized carbon dioxide to pull out those compounds. It's a cleaner method, and it usually makes a more flavorful product.
Okay, CO2 extraction for the flavor fans. What about live resin? You mentioned that's made with flash frozen plants, right? How does that affect the final product?
Yeah. So they freeze the plants right after they're harvested, and that helps preserve all those delicate terpenes that might get lost during the drying and curing process. So you get a concentrate that's super flavorful and aromatic. It really captures the essence of the living plant.
Wow, so it's like a snapshot of the plant's, aroma and flavor at its peak.
Exactly. It's a pretty special experience. And that's just one example. I mean, the world of cannabis concentrates is just exploding with new innovations all the time. It's crazy.
It is. I'm realizing now that I really didn't know much about all this before.
Well, you're learning now. There's a whole world of information out there about different extraction methods, different cannabinoid profiles, different terpenes. It's really fascinating stuff.
You've definitely got me wanting to learn more.
That's the spirit. But for now, I think we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah. We've talked about the glass blowing, extraction methods, the different types of concentrates. I'm excited to see where we go next.
Me too. Let's take this knowledge and talk about how to actually use it to create the perfect dabbing experience.
Okay, so we're back. And I feel like we've got all the pieces of the puzzle now,
Yeah, we've talked about the glass, the burners, the different designs, the extraction methods, the concentrates.
It is.
But now it's time to put it all together.
Yeah, how do we actually, use all this knowledge to create a good dabbing experience?
Right. Well, one of the most important things is temperature control.
Yeah.
We talked about low and slow heating before.
Right.
But let's, really break it down. How do you find that sweet spot?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. What's the secret?
Well, there's no, magic number.
Okay.
It really depends on the specific concentrate you're using. But the biggest thing is to avoid overheating. If you get the banger too hot, you can burn off all those terpenes.
Yeah.
And then the vapor's going to be harsh, and it'll taste burnt.
So how do you know if you're overheating it?
You got to watch the concentrate carefully. You'll see it start to melt and bubble. And the vapor, at first, it'll be really thin,
Yeah.
But as the banger gets hotter, the vapor will get thicker.
Oh, okay.
So it's about, finding that balance where you're getting a lot of vapor, but it's not, scorching the concentrate.
Got it. So low and slow and keep an eye on it. What about the actual, dabbing technique?
There are a few things you can try. One that's good for beginners is the cold start method.
Oh, yeah, the cold start. Remind me what that is again.
Instead of heating the banger first, you actually put the concentrate in the cold banger.
Oh, okay.
And then you start heating it up. This helps prevent the concentrate from sticking to the bottom, and it makes the vaporization more even.
Oh, that's smart. So you're heating the concentrate and the banger at the same time. What other, techniques should people know about?
It's also good to, experiment with different dab tools. You've got your basic dabbers. But there are also scoop tools, pointed tools. Some are designed for specific concentrates, like if you're using shatter or crumble.
It's like a tool for every job.
Exactly.
And don't forget the carb cap, right? Those things are important.
Oh, yeah. Carb caps are essential. They can really improve your dabbing experience. They help regulate the airflow so you get better vaporization.
Okay.
And they can even, make the flavor better.
Oh, wow. So they're not just a fancy accessory.
Nope. They serve a real purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many different designs out there.
Right.
It's worth trying out a few to see which ones you like best.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of room for personalization with all this.
There is.
Mm.
It's not like a one-size-fits-all thing. You got to find what works for you.
Right.
Experiment with temperatures, techniques, tools, different concentrates.
Yeah.
The important thing is to be safe and have fun.
I think that's the biggest takeaway for me from this whole deep dive. It's not just about, getting high. It's about the whole experience, the ritual of it. It's a way to like connect with yourself and connect with this amazing plant.
Absolutely. It's about mindfulness, about intention,
Mm.
about savoring the moment.
Yeah, I like that. So as we wrap things up here, what are like the key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, obviously having good equipment, being careful with the heating, being willing to experiment,
Mhm.
but also you know, find what brings you joy. Create a ritual that makes you feel good.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. It's not just about the high, it's about like creating an experience that makes you feel good, mind, body, and soul.
Right. And remember, this is just the beginning. There's a whole community out there of people who are passionate about this,
Yeah.
and they're always happy to, share their knowledge and experiences.
So don't be afraid to, connect with other people, ask questions,
Yeah,
learn from each other.
exactly.
So one last question for you, dear listener. Knowing all this, what kind of dabbing experience do you want to create for yourself? What will your setup be?
What rituals will you incorporate? Let us know. Share your thoughts and experiences with us on social media. We'd love to hear from you.
Because the deep dive never really ends, does it? There's always something new to learn
Always something new to try.
and always more to explore. Until next time, happy dabbing.